Don't trip, you know? I know things is hard right now. You looking for a job. You out there hustling.
This is probably the most important video I am ever going to make in my life. And I have breaking news. This is an exciting day to be alive, but it also is fraught with danger. Now, I've known since I got involved in looking into the Tupac and Biggie murders that there was always an element of danger. And that became more pronounced with the death threats from Reggie Wright Jr. And R.J. Bond has received many more death threats than I've received from Reggie Wright Jr. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is explosive. I have a document that has surfaced. This document is going to blow the lid off of all of these cases. And that's why I invite you to download this video and share it on your own YouTube channels, because I will be safer if more people know what I'm about to show you, because they are going to want to put the lid on this. And I want to give you some background information, and then I want to get into the actual document, because this is explosive. And we already know that Reggie Wright Jr. and Reggie Wright Sr. have both been released on bail. They posted bond. That bond was $50,000 in each case. Now, if you or I would have committed these crimes, there wouldn't have been bail. And if we were able to hire a really good attorney, bail would have been set at $500,000 or $1 million. We don't know an exact amount, but most likely, if it was you and I, we would not have bail. But because these are corrupt cops who have violated their sacred oath to protect and serve, you would think the book would be thrown at them. But instead, they receive preferential treatment. These are two dirty people who should be getting the worst of all treatment. And instead, what do they get? They get preferential treatment. They get $50,000 bond. Now, there's a document that I'm going to show you a little bit later. I want to give you some background information so that you can understand just how egregious this is. So, I've been threatened on 2 occasions by Reggie Wright Jr., but there are many other people that have been threatened. Like I said, R.J. Bond, he has been threatened on many occasions. Since the first Tupac assassination film, he has shown the light on Reggie Wright Jr., and Reggie Wright Jr. has responded that R.J. Bond will be next. God don't like ugly. R.J. Bond has a heart problem, da-da-da-da-da. Okay? And so this is a man who's made death threats. Now, he didn't just make death threats against RJ and against me. He told Kevin Hackey that he could have him killed at any time. He also said on an interview, if we wanted to kill Tupac, we would have just taken him to a hole in the desert. You know, like we usually do, was what was implied in that. And there were many conversations about holes in the desert with this group. Suge and Reggie took Sharitha and Officer Kevin Gaines to a hole in the desert to threaten them. They thought they were going to be killed. They were stripped naked, and they were made to fend their way back to civilization naked in the desert. And that's all death row folklore. We don't know if that's true, but you know what? There's an awful lot of talk of holes in the desert with this group. We have Buntry, who is getting gas in Reggie Wright Jr.'s vehicle. Reggie Wright Sr. goes in to pay for the gas.
I lost a brother, but my niece, she lost a father. And how do I feel? How can I be?
He gets killed, and Reggie Wright Sr. comes out, dumbfounded, doesn't return fire. I mean, the whole thing just stinks, and it stinks with this group. We have Reggie Wright Sr., who always wanted to know where the drugs were before a bust, and there was always a pre-raid that was done with a gang to go steal the drugs and the money. Kevin Hackey tells the LAPD that Reggie is known to shake down and rob drug dealers. Kevin Hackey tells us that Reggie Jr. is somebody who's known for robbing the inmates in jail when he was a jailer. I mean, these are really bad people, okay? So they should have the book thrown at them, and instead, what do they get? They get preferential treatment. Now, the person who commissioned the Compton corruption investigation into the police department is a man named Mayor Omar Bradley.
Take me out a ride with me, and I put that on everything.
He discovers in that report, and instead of focusing on what the original reason for the investigation was, which was the gun, the people that are investigating focus on the missing cocaine and the drug trafficking that's occurring inside of Compton Police, the Compton Police Department. And so what happens to Mayor Omar Bradley? He uncovers that there is a loophole in the system where the DA's office rejects a case, and that evidence is lost track of every time, and that evidence gets lost and stolen and put out on the streets of Compton, and that money is money that's corrupt money that flows through Compton police officers. And who do we have that's been arrested? Compton police officers. And are they listed in the Compton Police Corruption Report? Both of them are listed in that report. So has this behavior gone on all the way back to the 90s? Most likely it has. And now they just happen to get caught in Tennessee. Well, if the DA's office has been the one that's been rejecting the cases, is the DA's office in on it? And we get a clue with that because who has been pursuing Omar Bradley for the last 17, 18 years? It's been the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. Now, we know one thing about Mayor Omar Bradley from our friend Tom Mesereau. And I bumped into Tom Mesereau a couple of months ago in Century City, and I heard from him directly the story about how the feds were pushing suitcases full of cash to Omar Bradley, Mayor Omar Bradley, and he was pushing them back, saying no thank you. And that went on for years. Tom Mesereau told me that he had seen basically years of evidence, and he said that he was very offended with this because the people that were trying to entrap Omar Bradley said, hey, well, what's the deal here? This guy's black. I mean, he should be taking this. Like all black people take bribes. And it's offensive to him, and it's offensive to me, and it should be offensive to you. Because we had the federal government targeting Mayor Omar Bradley. And when that didn't work, what are they doing now? It's the DA's office that's targeting him. There's a case that is starting Monday where he's being retried for a crime that he already was convicted of, already did 3 years for, and then an appellate court overturned it. So we have a constitutional right against double jeopardy, but that didn't stop the DA's office from pursuing him. And they told him, we just want you to not run for office again. If you'll sign off on not running for office again, then we will stop pursuing you. And he has refused to sign off, and he's taking this all the way to the end. And so at the end of this 2-week trial that starts Monday, the DA's office is going to try and get a 9-month prison sentence for Omar Bradley for something he already served 3 years for, and something that was overturned in an appellate court. But why would the DA's office pursue Omar Bradley? because he stopped one of their rat lines that they got money from. That's why they're doing this. And that's why my life is in danger, because I'm calling this out. But does it go deeper? It turns out it does. Who are Reggie Wright Jr. and Reggie Wright Sr.? These guys are dirty cops, pure and simple. They were central to the Rampart scandal. And how do we know this? We know this because the Rampart scandal all flowed through Death Row Records. We know that once Suge Knight went to prison, there was no difference between the way Death Row Records and the Compton Police Department functioned. They functioned as one and the same entity. If you want to see the evidence of this, look at the movie Tupac Assassination Battle for Compton. It's on Amazon Prime. You guys can all take a look at it, and you can get the deep background information on Rampart, on the Operation Big Spender at the Sheriff's Department, at the Compton Police corruption, at LAPD, at some of the other agencies that were going on around, at the Compton Unified School District, and all the money that's involved and all the people that have been enriching their pockets on your back, on good, honest people's back. And what I'm going to tell you in a few minutes is going to enrage you. It enrages me because my life is now in danger. And now I encourage you all again, download this video, share it on your YouTube channels, because if this video gets out, my life I'm safer because of it. Because you're going to see that there are fingerprints on this case that go up further. And let's go back to the Tupac murder. Reggie Wright Jr. was involved in Tupac Shakur's murder. It's not theory, it's fact. We have enough facts. The facts all line up. He's involved in killing rapper Tupac Shakur. He's also listed as a suspect in killing rapper Christopher Wallace. So here's a man who is suspected of being involved in two very high-profile murders, and he gets a $50,000 bond? How do we know that he was involved in those murders? Well, there's an awful lot of evidence. Bodyguard Michael Moore talked about hearing Gotham come over Reggie Wright Jr.'s radio at the time that the Tupac shooting happened. Okay? Gotham comes over the radio. Then somebody else, somebody white, somebody that Michael Moore thought was David Kenner, comes over the radio and says, "Don't say nothing over the radio." And David Kenner makes a mysterious appearance at Suge Knight's murder trial. Because why? Because he's got to convey some kind of information. It's really suspicious, okay? Reggie Wright Jr. was in the Compton Police corruption report for being in Keefe D's pay-o book. Keefe D is the person that paraded himself out and said, "Yeah, Orlando and I, we're the ones that shot Tupac," and he tells this bullshit story about it. R.J. Bond has breakfast with Keefe D and tape records him saying, "Yeah, that was all bullshit." And why? Why did they do it? Reggie Wright and Keefe D are buddies. They've been drug buddies for a long time. And so that relationship goes all the way back. Recent information, we've had somebody come forward who talks about how Keefe D and Orlando slept on Michael Gaines' couch. Who is Michael Gaines? He is the brother of Officer Kevin Gaines, who Suge Knight and Reggie drove out to the desert, the hole in the desert, left him for dead. They would have been probably pretty pissed off about that, would want to kill Suge over that. And Officer Kevin Gaines is in Las Vegas from 2 days before the shooting until 2 days after Tupac dies on special assignment working for internal affairs at LAPD. Okay, we don't need to look much further. We can see what's going on here. There are rat lines that tie to the drugs, to the money laundering, to the record label. Record labels fly artists all over the world. What's going on as cargo? Probably the drugs. There's probably a business being operated within a business. It's not too hard to put this all together. And money laundering, who was accused of money laundering? Universal was accused of money laundering. Gene Giaquinto accused of money laundering. What was happening? Duplication wasn't happening. Money was being paid for duplication that never happened. That money was going to the mafia. The duplication that was supposedly happening was being shipped to phantom stores that didn't exist so that money could be inserted into the system. It was a slick money laundering operation. And music is one of those things that's controlled end to end. They control the publishing, they control the artists, they control the distribution. It's an easy setup to launder money through. And now we go to the MGM surveillance tape. So Russell Poole, when he was alive, he and I had, and it was a crowdsourced the news type of event. When Tupac 187 came out, we had people contact us with information. When Chaos Merchants came out, I had people contact me with information. When Tupac Assassination Battle for Compton came out, I had more people contact me with information. That's where the whole crowdsource the news idea came from. It also came from another investigation that's going on that I've been following, and it's George Webb. And he's been crowdsourcing his information as well, and it's leading to some very productive Washington, D.C. corruption that has a couple intersections with this case, believe it or not. And so the crowdsource the news operation was begun because of this. Now, getting back to the MGM and Russell Poole and I started to get traction in this case. We were secretly meeting socially with somebody from the DA's office who, when we originally handed him Tupac 187, he said, "Hey, I'm not feeling the case." We tried to boil it down and make it more succinct. We got down to 45 Tupac murder facts. We handed that to him. He started to feel the case. He wanted to know more about this, but he said, "Look, I need an investigator from inside of police." And that's what led to the meeting with Russell and the sheriffs. Now, days before that meeting, one of our crowdsourced people that's been giving us information sent us over a picture. And that picture was of what looks like Reggie Wright Sr. at the MGM. So I went on a road trip down to Palm Springs, and I spent a few days with Russell with my computer, and we looked at every frame of that MGM footage. And Russell saw that image and said, "That's Reggie Wright Sr." Now, Russell had worked with, other police agencies. He knew Reggie Wright Sr. And so when Russell said that's him, I believed him. I'm not a facial recognition expert, and in fact, I'm just a writer. Nobody cares what I think. Nobody cares what filmmakers think. What is it that they care about? They care about what a 19-and-a-half-year veteran, a detective who investigated 500 homicides, and 300 of them he was the lead investigator on, including the Ennis Cosby case that got solved and the Biggie Smalls case that did not get solved. Russell Poole was somebody that people respected. This prosecutor that we were meeting with told me that whenever Russell turned in a case, that he would always know the good, the bad, and the ugly about the case, because Russell never lied about anything. Russell always told what the strengths were and what the weaknesses were, and he said we never got blindsided in a case, and all of his paperwork was meticulous. And if you look at Chaos Merchants, every single fact is footnoted because that's what Russell wanted. He wanted footnotes as to where the information came from. And so when Russell sees that it's Reggie Wright Sr. at the MGM, he sends it to a few of his cop buddies that also worked with Reggie Wright Sr., and he got confirmation. And I cultivated a source down in Compton, and I was recently down there with a room full of women from Compton that have been there for years and years and years. These were not young people. And I showed that picture around the room, and they all said, this is Reggie Wright Sr. And so we have Russell Poole saying it's Reggie Wright Sr. We have a whole group of people down in Compton saying it's Reggie Wright Sr. We have the former mayor of Compton, Omar Bradley, saying it's Reggie Wright Sr. So I don't know who is credible that can say that it's not, in light of so many people that are credible saying it is. And so Reggie Wright Sr. supervising Orlando Anderson's interrogation just smacks of the fact that they're in on the Tupac Shakur murder. And now we walk this forward, and these really bad people get $50,000 bond. And there's an explosive document. Again, I encourage you all, download this video, share it on your channels, and please don't edit this video, share the entire video. Have everybody see all of the background information about this, because we want them to see everything in this case. We want you to see how egregious this is. We have a situation now where we've had a huge conflict between Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter. And I would just say this: when Blue Lives take a sacred oath that they're going to protect and serve the people, I think we need to treat them with the utmost respect. I think when district attorneys take a sacred oath that they're going to protect the people, we need to treat them with the utmost respect. When U.S. attorneys take a sacred oath that they're going to protect and serve the people, we need to give them our utmost respect. They are patriots, they are servants of the people. But when any of these people violate that sacred trust and are corrupt and found to be corrupt, we need to throw the book at them. And when they are even accused of being corrupt, we cannot give them courtesy. We cannot give them preferential treatment. Okay? There is a document which I'm about to show you, and this document spells it out. Reggie Wright Sr. posts a $50,000 bond. And interlineated at the bottom, and I'm going to show you, it's basically null and voiding the fact that there's even a bond. There is a phrase interlineated that it doesn't matter if he violates his the conditions of his release, this money will be returned. So not only does he get a $50,000 bond, but he also has a document that nullifies the entire purpose of a bond, and that's signed by an assistant U.S. attorney. And that's why it's become dangerous for me. Not only do I have gangsters after me, not only do I have former corrupt cops after me, and probably corrupt cops that where their crimes lead, now I have the U.S. Attorney's Office after me because I'm exposing them to the corruption that they are now wittingly a part of. They have given cover to corrupt former police officers, and that cover is exposing them. And We reached out to the Memphis people. The Memphis people said they have absolutely no jurisdiction over this case until they get the defendants to Tennessee. And so here we are with Los Angeles, which is a direct pipeline for political contributions to Washington, D.C. And you'll notice every politician makes a beeline for Los Angeles, for Hollywood, to raise money for their campaigns. And now we have exposed corruption inside the system. They're coming after Omar Bradley. They're continuing to come after him because he stopped one of their funding sources. They're going to come after me. They're going to try to kill me unless you guys get this video out. I want you all to download this video and post it on whatever YouTube channels you can. Get this information out to make my life safer. I thank you all for listening. You will see these documents as part of this. I'm also going to include links to them so that you guys can download these documents and have them for yourself. I got these documents off of Pacer on the U.S. government's website. These are not doctored documents. They came directly off the Pacer site. And so you guys can have these documents. You can spread them around, and you can see that the U.S. attorney has basically nullified a bond that was to release Reggie Wright Sr. Is it because he's going to run? I don't know. Is it because he's going to violate the terms and that was just understood that he was going to violate it? It was a wink to everybody. Whatever it is, it needs to stop, and you all, the crowd, can put an end to this. This is corruption. It needs to stop. You guys can make that happen. You can put pressure on politicians. You can put pressure on law enforcement. You can put pressure on other people, because if you want to solve the Black Lives, Blue Lives, All Lives debate, then it has to start with every single person is seen the same under the law. And it doesn't matter what your affiliation with law enforcement is. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter about anything but the content of your character. And clearly we have people whose content of their character is very suspect in this case. And because it's suspect, they get preferential treatment. We got to put an end to it. Okay? Thank you.
Man, my hands on the wheel, I'm still drunk driving. Road rage got me feeling like I'm out of my mind. I'm on the stage, feeling like crime, but I see these people in this place. Gotta speak the real, gotta keep it real. When I rap like this, it give me the chills. I hope you really feel what you really feel. Do what you do to make money just to pay your bills. It's messed up, they don't wanna see us going forward. Making sure I hold down the last name doors. It's been wild like a wild force, but I bet God got something better for us.